Hello and welcome. So this is my weekly live about events. It's a weekly live conversation, really quick, less than 10 minutes to talk about various topics in the event industry. So I'm really excited to kick this off and just give my thoughts, my insights, any behind the scenes action of events. And so this week, I'm really excited about this because I've been holding on to this for a couple of days. And I thought this week I would talk about site visits because I love site visits. I love going to check out new venues, new hotels, see new spaces. And since I tend to do a lot of site tours, I thought I would give my take on it. So I wanted to talk about evaluating your site tour experience. So I always recommend when you are doing an event to schedule a site tour for your venue. If you've already secured the venue, whether it's a hotel or a different space, being able to get into it live and see where you're going to be is highly preferred. If not you, someone in your team, or even someone locally that you can have go in there in person. If not, then you do what you have to do. There are a lot of events and meetings that I've booked sight unseen, but it really depends on the level of the event. If it's a simple meeting, usually don't need a whole lot of extra walkthroughs. But if it is it's a heavy intensive event or a production, you will definitely want to try to schedule a site tour either for yourself, your team, or last resort, someone else that can do it on your behalf. So, with that being said, I want to talk about my recent site visits. I was recently in New York for a conference, and anytime that I'm in a city, I like to tack on tours if I can. So, I was in New York City, and I do have a program coming up that I'd like to do for New York. So, I thought it was a really great, convenient time to uh, put together some site tours. So I'll talk about the three that I did, because those were pre-scheduled tours that I booked before I left to go to New York. And yeah, so let me just go ahead and I'm not going to mention hotel names because that's not it's not necessary, but I do write about it in my new blog about specifics about the hotels. So you might want to check that out if you want some more details. So let's talk about site number one. Site number one is a hotel that I stayed at. So I actually reached out to the salesperson and um, ended up booking accommodations because I came in early for the conference. And I actually had an RFP that I sent to the salesperson. So sending an RFP means, an intent of, booking um, that event. And I say that um, because that's pertinent information um, about how I felt around this site visit. Because technically it was a site visit, but it was it was self touring. When I reached out to the sales manager was not available and told me that I'm welcome to view the space on my own. Which, okay, yeah, I completely agreed. I went to the hotel, I stayed there, and long story short, I enjoyed my stay. I would have liked, even if the sales manager wasn't around, I would have liked if she would have tagged someone else in just to, answer any questions that I may have had, or, just having that more personalization. But I will say my stay was very comfortable. I would stay there again. I just don't think it was right for the program that I'm thinking. And I don't know if it's right for groups or events that I do with corporate. I would like definitely more personalization And when I evaluate sites, I evaluate them on how my attendees are going to feel, how my clients are going to feel walking in. Do they feel included? Do they feel like they're greeted? Is the service level just top notch? Are they, welcoming us? Do they understand the events or the meaning? So that's what I look at. In this hotel that like I said, I stayed there. I had an active RFP. I didn't feel that level of accommodations. But like I said, I think it's a great hotel for leisure stay. Now, site number 2. So what was interesting about these particular site tours is that I really packed it in. I had a whole 2-day conference, and I was trying to fit in these site tours among that. So my time was very limited. So I was able to book this site tour right before our conference, but right before I checked in at my host hotel. So I say that to say that, man, the time was of the essence, and I ended up leaving the hotel that I stayed in for the first site, going over to the host hotel, checking in, throwing my bags down, and then, hurrying to the next site number 2. And luckily they're all close. I mean, within, 5 minutes walking. But I'm just pretty proud of myself that I actually was able to put everything in within the time constraints. But site number 2 was with the sales manager. And what I really appreciate from the start is that he sent me an email maybe about 15 minutes prior to our meeting to say, hey, here's where I'm going to be at. I'm waiting for you in the lobby. Anything comes up or, something happens, here's my cell phone number. And, because think about it, when, if something comes up and you only have their email and they're already down waiting for you. So they probably won't get their email unless they're like, checking their phone the whole time. So I appreciate that. With the site that it was at 11, I was checking into my host hotel at 10:45. So I just quickly texted him saying, hey, you know what? I will be no more than 10 minutes late. And I was like, I got there at 11:10. But I just kept him updated saying, hey, you know what? I'm at this hotel. I will be there. I'm walking over now. And he said, okay. And once I get there, I am greeted in the lobby. I love it when they're right there. You don't have to go looking and wondering who it is. He saw me right away. I saw him. I enjoyed my site visit. I thought it was well executed. I think he was knowledgeable. He had some rooms available for me. All my questions were answered. I really thought that was a hotel that made sense for a program that I have in mind. And I would love to have stayed there. So I thought I had a good feeling about it. I just thought he was, very personable. And I felt that he would be happy having my business. That's another thing too. I mean, walking and talking with sales managers, you want to make sure that they, they're kind, but they want your business, not that you're in the way. So I really felt that, he really appreciated the program, and I was confident that that would be a great hotel. Site number 3, again, it was part of this conference, so I was making it work. I actually left the conference and hurried to the hotel, and it was a little bit of a distance. It's not as in the center of things in New York, but it was, it was an upscale hotel, so the quality was there. Again, I walked in and my sales manager was right there in the lobby, and he greeted me and had rooms available, showed me a suite. I love when they show me like in the nicer rooms because, one of the house standard room everyone's seen, but I like to see, the rooms that you normally don't. And I thought he did a really great job. The only thing that concerned me is that they were going into some kind of upkeep, not quite renovations, but more of a cosmetic, jazzing up the lobby and he was said they were doing that in August. So the program was in August. So I was just a little bit concerned with would it be ready? What would it look like? And things like that. But I really appreciate that site tour as well. And so that's just a quick rundown of just three site tours that I was able to really, put together and see how I felt. Honestly, site number 2 just made sense for me. And if we do move forward, I will be confident that things will go well. But the point I want to make is you're not only evaluating the property and the space, but you're evaluating the people, the staff, and how they're going to make you feel, as someone attending an event or your client. And the best way to do that is in person. So that's why I value these site tours. But that's all I want to talk about for today. I wanted to keep this rather short. And if there are other topics that come in mind, please reach out. I'd love to chat on them. And if you are watching the replay, I'd love to hear your comments. If you had any site tour stories, I'd love to hear that as well. But until the next event, talk to you later.